Hello, Renee Flamont here. You guys, we talk a lot about, because it's a concern of mine, feeling good about yourself regardless of what stage of life you're in. The poem I'm going to read you, I wrote in my 30s, didn't publish it on this blog I used to keep until I was in my 40s, and now in my 50s, it yet means something else. And I loved it when I wrote it. I still love it. It speaks to every generation, and I think it may put some things into perspective for you about aging. Please allow me. I entitled it, If I Could Now and Then, Know Then and Now. You have youth, so here it is, the time of your life. But wait, not yet. It doesn't seem perfectly right. Endless elements to align, pieces to assemble. An intricate game, this is just a preamble. At 35, you are so full of hope, vision, and vigor, fully unaware of the journey this will trigger. Engulfed in getting fit, amassing dollars, your profession, consumed with that love search to the point of obsession. If you could only have love and money to travel, you can embrace this youth and energy you have to unravel. Now 45 and business is good, love was found, children are great, but that body you worked for is not the same as of late. You are neutral for energy, and of course there is no time. You traded loneliness for chaos, yet it all seems sublime. If you could only have some time to breathe, travel, take a walk. This just kills me. You could embrace the fortune and family and just stop to talk. Here it is. No, here it is now. It is the time of your life. No, not yet, but you know that it's right there in sight. The money is coming. The house seems alive. But many things change when you hit 55. I'm turning 55. Oh my God. I forgot I used that number. The children are grown. Oh, je m'excuse, that's the alarm. The children are grown. You've stopped working early. All seems quiet, peaceful, at rest. You could not have waited more for this very moment, yet somehow now it does seem like less. All the time in the world to get fit again, but who feels like it? You really are quite tired. The body you did not like even 10 years before seems now like the one you should have admired. Young people, please. If you could only have that youth from age 35 and the full house from the decade after, you could embrace the time and money sitting around unused and find a way to create a new chapter. Then it happens, some magic, some wisdom and knowledge just hail like a storm from above. With 65 years, you are rested, serene, and rejoiceful with the very things you once complained of. I know I'm so emotional when it comes to this poem. Re-energized by grandchildren, you seek stimuli anew. Gratitude for health means you like your body finally. With the hope and the vigor of yesteryear, you take on challenges everywhere. Just happy that you can. Thank you kindly. Do you know what I mean? If you could only have known then what you have come to now know, you could have embraced the entire process and watched your life grow. So perhaps here it is for sure, this time of your life, as you realize the journey is the reward and that which is bright. You're here but have always been in this great time of yours. You just spent all that time wishing, working, wanting more. It kills me because I see our youth today and so many people even my age, and they are never happy with themselves. And it breaks my heart. And I wrote this poem in my 30s, and I was at a table of 4 women, and we were 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. And that's what inspired this, right? And then when I was in my 40s and I had my blog, I thought, ooh, I'm going to get that poem out and put it on here. And I did. And now here it is. That was in 2013. It's these years later, and I thought I would read it to you. And I'm sorry I became emotional, but the thought that we yearn for something and aren't happy when we have it kills me for what we women do to ourselves. Kills me. Like exactly what you would be thrilled for right now, you didn't like 10 years ago. Why didn't we just like it 10 years ago and fast forward through all the self-hatred and self-criticism and self-torture we put ourselves through, right? And when it comes to wisdom and knowledge and amassing dollars and professions and grandchildren and children and marriages and homes and houses, I think we get caught up in the current stage of our lives, so much so sometimes, and some people, and they're missing it. They're missing it. It's only a finite amount of time. Say, for example, you have children. They're only 0 to 10 once. So if you spend those 10 years doing X, Y, Z, and your head is somewhere else, you look all of a sudden, they're 20 to 25, 20 to 30 years old. You don't know where it went. I really value appreciating where I sit. And I've talked a lot about this before. And when I thought about reading this poem, which I feel bad that I cried like that, and I'll try to attach it somehow so you can read it without my commentary and tears. But it's on my blog, which, again, the link doesn't, I don't think, work to it. I'll try to figure that part out, okay? But I just really don't want to be 65 years old, which is the last age mentioned in this poem. I don't want to be 65 years old before I have a restful, peaceful outlook on life. When I wrote this, I kind of felt this way. So luckily I've tried to, it was all in line with me trying to sit happily where I am. So I don't think I fell victim to this so much, but every single person I know does. Unless they have an awareness of it, like I was made aware. It was just a lunch. And I looked around the table, and the 20-year-old had, we're 4 women. We have complaints about ourselves. We have rejoices about ourselves. And in the normal course of conversation, I realized that what every other person was complaining about, they were 10 years ahead of the other girl. That girl might have, and then this girl is telling that one, well, that's not that big of a deal. Don't worry about that, honey. That goes away. And I'm thinking, if we could all just embrace, wouldn't it be easier on ourselves? To know now at 35 that you don't have to do this, this, and this because societal norms tell you so. Or at 55 or 45, you shouldn't be in a particular position in the firm because societal norms tell you so. If you're someone that is into all that, like career stuff. Just because you're 55 doesn't mean you should be, I don't know, married a second time because your friend is. It's just we put ourselves through so much that I get very, very concerned with the state of mind of people, the state of mind of our young people, okay? You have youth, so here it is, this time of your life. They don't realize they're in the time of their life when they're young. That's why it's like, but wait, doesn't feel right. They're trying to do things. They're trying to put together their life. They're not happy yet. They're 25. They're not happy yet. And you probably would kill to be 25. And then the next part, 35. Now you're full of hope, your vision, you got your career going, you're doing all that, this journey. You're making money, you do that. But you're not happy. You know why? You haven't met the person you love yet. Got everything going for you. But you haven't met the person you love yet. So that's your obsession. And so you miss your wonderful 30s where you are climbing the ladder, amassing a fortune, surrounded by great friends. But you're obsessed because you didn't find love yet? That's not very fair that we do that to ourselves. Enjoy the rest of your life. And it says, if you could only have love and money to travel, you can embrace this youth and energy you have to Embrace it anyway. Embrace it anyway. You're amassing your dollars. You don't have a fortune yet. That doesn't mean you can't be happy where you sit. You don't have a girlfriend or boyfriend yet. That doesn't mean you can't be happy where you sit. You can be happy already without either of those two things, love or money. You can within yourself. So then 45, it talks about business is good now, right? You found love, you got married, you had kids. But guess what? Now you're unhappy because I'm not as fit as I used to be. So that becomes your obsession. Everything else is in line. Again, everything in life is great. People would kill to have what you have. But you're obsessed because your body doesn't look the same. You're tired. You're not as energetic. There's not a lot of time. But you love it because it's your husband, it's your kids. But it says, if I could only have some time to breathe, travel, take a walk. When you were in your 20s and 30s and didn't have anybody, you had all the time in the world to breathe, travel, take a walk. You didn't long for it when you had it. But now, if you could only have some time, you could embrace the fortune and family and just stop to talk. So you've amassed it, you're doing it, but you hardly take the time to enjoy it. And then you think, here it is now, here it is. Yep, the time of my life. No, not yet. You know? Because it's just, but it's right there in sight. If I just, the money is coming, the house is jumping, but many things change when you hit 55. The children are grown. The children are grown. You've stopped working. You're retired. It all seems quiet now. Peaceful, at rest. And you waited for this moment, yet somehow it doesn't feel like as blissful as you thought it was going to be. All the time in the world to get in shape, but now you're like, is that a priority? If you choose visits over friends, or, you know, if you're 55, I would never prioritize working out. And I don't mean you shouldn't for yourself. You have to. I understand you have to prioritize it. That's not what I mean. But we're not obsessing about it anymore, like maybe in your 40s or 30s. So now you're thinking about yourself 10 years ago when you did detest your body, and you're thinking, God, I wish I had that now. Isn't that a shame that we do that to ourselves? I don't know why I have all these alarms going off. Oh, because I have a dentist appointment. Sorry. If you could only have that youth from 35, now you're wishing from the youth from 35, and the full house from the decade after. You want the kids back in. You're an empty nester, maybe. Yet when you had them in the house, you couldn't wait for peace and quiet. Now you have peace and quiet, and you miss that they're not in the house. And you think, if I just had that again, I could embrace all this time and money that I have sitting around, unused. Find a way to create a new thing. You could do that now, right where you sit, regardless of age. And then, like it says, wisdom and knowledge eventually comes your way, but I don't want to wait till 65 to get it. But by then, you hope you are rested and you're happy and you're re-energized by grandchildren, and you go through your life in that direction, and it becomes a wonderful journey that you lived and that you landed there. But wouldn't it be something if we lived there in that satisfied place of wisdom and knowledge, knowing, yes, this is everything I need. This is what life is about. I'm very happy here on this earth. I'm grateful for all that's around me, the way I am right now in life. Wouldn't that be a fantastic thing if we all felt that way? And you know, with the hope and vigor of yesteryear, you take on challenges everywhere. I think that happens when you have, you know, a resurgence of energy later in your life, because you do achieve a certain happiness, because you're just grateful to be here. I'm grateful to have a strong body that allows me to do things. I'm grateful that I have friends around me, that I have love in my life. You become aware, I think, of what's important, and you're very grateful for a body that works. You get to know people. We all get to the age. You see very good friends of yours. You see people around you. They start to have health problems as we age. It's not so much, oh, I wish I looked like that. I thank God every day I have a healthy, strong body. I'm very much happy with that. So that's the concern when it comes to body now, finally. And yet earlier in life, it was always worried about what you looked like. I'm not saying you can't have a balance. Health is health and being in shape, of course. But we torture ourselves. And that's always what I'm after stopping, is how we torture ourselves. If you could have only known then what you have come to now know, you could have embraced the entire process and watched your life grow. So perhaps here it is for sure, this time of your life, as you realize the journey is the reward. Please learn to enjoy your journey. In your 30s, that is your life. It's not going to start when you meet someone. It's not going to start once you become partner. That is your life. In your 40s, that is your life. That's the journey. That's your life. You have to love that and embrace whatever it is, whatever's going on. That is your life. Your life is now. It's not going to start once this happens or going to start. No, whatever you're going through is your life now. And if you can realize that not wanting more or not yearning for yesteryear is the best place to reside, if you can realize that, you will gain so much power. Because all you can do is sit where you are. And I get very emotional with this poem because I have friends and I have been each of these ages. And so now reading this same poem I wrote it in 2002. Reading it 20 years later when I'm 54, not 34, I can see 65. I remember 45. Like, I can identify, and each stage is heartbreaking because we really do torture ourselves, as women especially, no matter what age you're at. I was hard on myself in high school. I was hard on myself from age 9 up. What a way. What a way to spend my youth. What a waste of concern, energy, effort, what we do to ourselves. There's a bunch of women that watch this. I looked at my audience is a lot of women, and you're like around, you hug my age, like from 40s to like late 60s, you know what I mean? So I know you know what I mean. And it just breaks my heart how much we all seem to always be longing for the way that things used to be with ourselves, or can't wait to get to a certain point with ourselves. I'll be happy once I lose 50 pounds. I'll be happy once I pay off this loan. I'll be happy once we sell that house. Now, don't get me wrong. If things cause you stress, like any of the aforementioned, and you alleviate those, yes, that can bring you a sense of happiness and joy and relief. But that's a short-lived kind of happiness. That's like a sigh of relief. That's done, check. That's not going to fulfill you. It is absolutely vital you dig so deep down that I don't care if you have to take a dry erase marker and write your positive qualities on the mirror that you look at every day. I did that on my mirror once. I mean, you can write with a dry erase and it wipes right off, just if you didn't know that. So if you could do that, and every day you see that and you're looking at it and it's glaring you in the face, reminding you of your worth now. You're listing what you are now already. If you don't have a loved one and you're dying to meet someone, you don't have to put single. You don't have to put anything. Your status is, you don't have to put that. But you could put, I'm a great friend, I'm a great relative, I'm a daughter, I'm a good worker, I'm I have friends, I have spin cycle, I have whatever, I golf, I play pool, whatever it is that you do and that makes you happy and brings you joy and you're adding and you're living your life. Write them down and look, you're a fabulous person. Don't allow one thing, and in your 40s, you can't wait because you're upset because you don't look like you did in your 30s. Well, honey, you're not in your 30s. And now you want the body in your 30s. Do you remember when in your 30s you didn't have kids? That's all you did was work out. You don't have that kind of time. Well, people get in shape with it. Of course they do. I'm trying to do it myself. No excuse. We can all do it. I agree with you. But to long for it and beat yourself up for it is something else. Your body's been through more. You're in your 40s. You've had children. Maybe you've had an operation. Maybe you've had an injury. And we're aging. We're aging. And then you get into our 50s and now we're beating ourselves up about other things. When does it end? When do we ever just sit and say, I'm so happy where I sit. I don't yearn for any decade. I'm going to embrace the one that I'm in. And I told you, I do this. And I'm very good at it. So, like, I'm so excited to turn 55. It's in a few months from now. I'm very excited to turn 55. I embrace that as a marker past which certain things won't follow me, before which I am spending time shedding anything that I don't want to carry over. I love periods like this that have a punctuated marker, and I think 55 is that kind of thing. I still have work to do. I'm doing it, but I love where I am. I don't wish to be in my 40s. I don't wish to have the body in my 20s or whatever the heck you think your best decade was. I'm still waiting for my best decade in that regard. I just don't do anything enough or consistent enough. How many times is the alarm going to go off, though? That's the question. Oh, you know why? Because I set 1,000 of them because I have a fear of being late for an appointment. And the appointment's not for like another hour, but I set all these alarms to make sure I didn't forget it. So I really am sorry that that kept going off. But it is my concern that we do this to ourselves. And that is not a way to go through life with that psyche. Do you know what that can do to you? If you wake up every day and you do that and you look and you're brushing your teeth and you read that list about yourself, I bet you'll have a different day eventually and you'll stop beating yourself up. You'll stop beating yourself up. I had a young friend had to remind me once who I was and what I am. I think I told you this before. I was heading to an event, and I said, this was several years ago, and I think I said, I don't know. She goes, you look great. I was like, oh, thanks. I said, I don't think I'm going. She goes, why? I said, you know it's going to be all couples, and I'm fine with that. I'm comfortable being single, but I just wasn't in the state of mind in this particular evening to do that, because it's an interesting dynamic when you're one of the only single people in the room. So I just didn't know if I was up for it, and she said, Renee, every single person in the room probably wishes they were you for the night. Like, you're going to drive up there, you look great. And I drive a convertible, nothing fancy, it's a Mini Cooper. But she's like, you'll have your top down, you'll be blaring your music, no one's arguing with you. This is what she put in my head. She goes, you're walking in, half those couple got into a fight on the way, they're going to fight on the way home. Who said what, did what wrong. You're going to have a peaceful ride home, again with the top down, playing the music. They wish you were you, half those people. That was her being a friend, don't get me wrong. We're not saying those people wish they were me. But this was 5 years ago, 6 maybe even. And that stays with me. So whenever you feel sorry for yourself, or, you know, look at it like your friend looks at it, like others might look at it. They might be thinking, wow. Like, and I'm not saying that means you should accept it as well. But if you look at it through the eyes of people who may look at you as having a blessed position of being able to drive to the event yourself, blaring music, and drive home and not fight and not be bogged down. And I could have done anything I wanted that night. I could have left that event and gone to 12 more places. I could have gone home and gone to sleep. My choice. I guess once my friend pointed it out, I'm sure there are plenty of people that probably think that that's a great idea or a great thing. So they might long for that, and yet there they are in a marriage that they're supposed to be happy where they are. So I've learned not to long for that. I hope, she was saying that to make me feel better, by the way. I hope nobody feels that way about their life. That was the whole point of me writing this poem. I want everyone to learn to look at exactly where they are and don't think any greener grass is over there or back that age or upwards when I get money or when I... No. That's what I'm saying. I know you know what I'm saying because you're used to me going around the planet to discuss these things. But this especially hits home for me because, and I don't think I remembered I said 55, but I don't know how I didn't. It's 35, 45, 55. But that's pretty funny that I'm coming upon it. And I'll tell you what, learning to embrace where I am has saved me a lot of regret. Because I think when you don't embrace where you are, you take things for granted, you don't do things or visit with people or get involved with things that are around you at the time because you're concentrating on something else, you miss the boat, that comes and goes, and then you regret. I don't regret because I did everything I wanted at every age. And I don't mean a bucket list. I don't have that. I never had that. And I'm not jumping out of any plane. We're not talking about that. But just cultivating the relationships I want, building the life that I have around myself, rearing the child that I did, keeping the relationships that I have going, that kind of thing. I've cultivated an energy around me that I love. So I love my present day. I just want you to feel the same way. I had a girlfriend, she didn't want to turn 40. And then I knew somebody else who was turning 55 and she wasn't excited. And here I am excited, and I'm thinking I need to explain to people why they need to be excited. We already talked about how aging is the goal, and that's the only alternative I want to discuss. So this topic may kind of reflect that sentiment, but I just want to make sure you gave it some thought. And if you need to read this poem again, I promise you as soon as I figure out how to make it available to you, I will let you know. Thank you. And please hit sub, like, and share, and I'll see you next time.